Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've got a stack of research today that, quite frankly, it kept me up last night. Because usually when we talk about the South Bay, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, Rolling Hills, we are picturing a very specific vibe.
Right, the sleepy beach town.
Yeah, exactly. The Beach Boys, a sleepy pier, maybe grabbing a coffee and just watching the waves. But looking at the data we have today, that postcard is fading fast. We are looking at a stack of reports that suggest a dramatic, almost violent transformation happening right now in these zip codes.
It really is. It's not just a few new shops opening up. It looks like a total rewrite of the local DNA. We're talking about this massive collision between the past and the future.
Yeah, a case study in urban evolution playing out in real time.
Exactly. And it is driven by friction. You have this huge tension between what the research calls legacy contraction, which is the old guard leaving, and this explosive, strange new wave of experience retail trying to squeeze into the cracks.
Legacy contraction. That is a very polite way of saying heartbreak, honestly. Because I was looking at the timeline here, and March 1st, 2026 is going to be a tough day for a lot of locals.
You're looking at the Ragin' Cajun Cafe?
Yeah, 32 years. That is not just a restaurant, that's an institution. That's where you went for birthdays, for quick lunches, and it's closing. And it's not just them, right?
No, the Combat Garage is shutting down, that Avenue Jiu-Jitsu Center. Even the big chains, like Pete's Coffee, they're pulling out of locations in Redondo and Manhattan Beach.
Which really tells you something incredibly important about the economic reality right now.
It does. When even the major corporate chains are getting squeezed, it means the middle ground is dead. You can't just be a place to hang out anymore. The overhead is just too high. The rent is too high. If you aren't optimizing every single square foot,
you vanish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You vanish.
So if the middle ground is dead, what survives? And that is the mission for this deep dive for you listening today. We aren't just eulogizing the old spots. We are tracking 7 specific new businesses moving in to fill that void. And they are very different. They aren't generalists. They are hyper-specialized.
Very different. We're talking about specific health services, niche collectibles, high-tech infrastructure. But the big question I want to answer today is how? How do these niche businesses survive in some of the most expensive real estate in California?
Right, and the answer seems to rely on a fascinating mix of extreme specialization and a very specific media strategy coming out of the local engine called Voxel Micro Video Labs. It's a strategy that essentially bridges the gap between physical expertise and digital survival.
If it's the missing link. But, before we get to the solution, we have to understand the pressure cooker these businesses are operating in, because the backdrop here isn't just high rent. It's density.
Massive density. The catalyst for a lot of this was the City Council approval back on February 17th, 2026, the Navisi Living Project.
This is the development at PCH and Pearl Street.
That's the one. And you have to look at the structure of this deal to understand the future of the city. It's a fiscal anchor model.
Break that down for me. What exactly does fiscal anchor mean in this context?
So usually you build housing and maybe put a generic coffee shop downstairs as an amenity. Here, the economics are entirely flipped. You have 17,000 square feet of high-value commercial space on the ground floor. The rent from that commercial space is the engine that actually subsidizes the 49 housing units above it, including 8 units reserved for very low-income residents.
Oh, wow. So the retail isn't just a nice-to-have, it is the load-bearing wall for the affordability of the housing.
Exactly. If the business downstairs fails, the math for the affordable housing upstairs breaks. So that puts immense pressure on those businesses to perform immediately.
And obviously you drop a 4-story building on PCH, and the neighbors are going to have something to say. I saw the notes from residents like Carolyn Hardy flagging the traffic bottleneck at PCH and Ruby Street.
And that's the reality. High density means high traffic. But for a business, high traffic is a double-edged sword. You have thousands of cars driving by, but they're stuck, they're frustrated, and they're totally distracted.
It is the attention economy in gridlock. You have to be unignorable.
Which explains the new Eat Fantastic on PCH. Have you seen the side of that building?
You mean the mural?
Yeah, you can't miss it. It's Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts painted like 20 feet tall. It's massive.
That is a brute force solution to the attention economy. It screams, "Look at me!" But here's the nuance. Most of the new businesses we are tracking, the ones replacing the old guard, they cannot afford a 20-foot mural of a Dodger. And frankly, a mural doesn't sell what they are offering.
Right, because they aren't selling burgers.
No, they are selling trust.
Let's dig into this first cluster then, the wellness and trust economy. Because the businesses moving in aren't selling commodities. They're selling peace of mind. The one that really stood out to me in the stack was the new mom school in Redondo Beach.
This is a perfect example of the shift. It's run by Vivian Potter on North PCH. Now, this isn't a store where you buy diapers. It's not a daycare. It is an educational institution for the fourth trimester.
The fourth trimester being that immediate postpartum period.
Right. It's research-backed courses, 100% in person. It's highly recommended by OBGYNs and pediatricians to fight maternal isolation. But think about the customer acquisition challenge here. You are trying to reach a new mother who is exhausted, overwhelmed, probably anxious, and maybe hasn't slept in 3 days.
Right. Standard marketing like, hey, come buy this course. It doesn't just fail. It feels offensive.
Yeah.
You can't hype man postpartum support.
Exactly. The stakes are deeply emotional. So how do you get them to walk through the door? This is where Voxel Micro Video Labs comes in with a strategy they call visual trust.
Visual trust, is that just a fancy way of saying make a nice video?
It's much deeper than that. Voxel realized that for this specific client, the barrier isn't price, it is fear. So they use something called empathetic direction. They actually keep a licensed psychotherapist at the studio.
Wait, hold on. A psychotherapist at the video production studio?
Yes, because the educators at the new mom school aren't actors. They might be brilliant with babies, but put a 4K camera lens in their face and they freeze up. They look stiff. And if you look stiff on camera, the viewer reads that as untrustworthy or cold.
So the therapist is there to coach the subject, not on their lines, but on their state of mind.
Precisely. They work to get the educator to a place of genuine warmth and confidence while the camera is rolling. The goal is that when a mom watches that video on her phone at 3 a.m., she feels a genuine human connection. If she sees empathy in the eyes, she trusts the business.
That's incredible. It's using high-tech video to solve a very human emotional block. Now, just down the road, we see a totally different version of this trust game. DermFX on South Elena Ave.
This is Aaron Alonzo's place. Now, this is medical aesthetics, Botox, fillers, body sculpting.
Which, let's be honest, feels like the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
Every strip mall has a med spa.
It is incredibly saturated, and the risk for the consumer is high. You are letting someone put a needle in your face. So the Voxel strategy here shifts from empathy to authority building.
How do you film authority?
You borrow the visual language of high-end documentaries. We are talking 4K resolution, multi-camera setups, perfect lighting. Voxel works with them to produce deep-dive educational content where the medical professionals explain complex treatments in high fidelity.
So they aren't doing the TikTok thing of dancing while pointing at text bubbles.
The exact opposite. They are signaling we are the adults in the room. When you see a video that looks like a Netflix documentary explaining the science of injectables, you subconsciously categorize that business as a premium, safe option. It separates the medical professionals from the hobbyists.
And I noticed they also have a philanthropic angle, the Forgotten Foundation.
Yes, which adds another layer of community trust. But the video asset is what gets the client to stop scrolling and actually book the appointment.
Okay, one more in the wellness stack before we switch gears. Key Eyes Keep in Shape on South PCH. This is a boutique fitness studio.
Right. Woman-owned, strength-focused group training. The challenge in fitness isn't fear, like the new mom, or safety, like the med spa. It's motivation. Clients fall off the wagon.
So what's the play?
Consistency. But here is the trap. A small business owner cannot spend all day filming Instagram stories. They have to run the gym. They have to teach classes. So Voxel uses a batching strategy. They bring the trainers into the studio for one afternoon.
And they film everything at once?
Everything. They'll record 30 quick tips, a month's worth of motivation, form checks, community shout-outs. Voxel chops that up, and suddenly Key Ice has a daily broadcast schedule for the next 4 weeks.
So to the local resident, it looks like Key Ice is everywhere, constantly active. But for the owner, it was just one afternoon of work.
Exactly. It keeps them top of mind without burning out the staff. It's pure efficiency.
I want to pivot to the second category here, because wellness is one thing, but we are also seeing a rise in what the research calls experience retail. And this is interesting because these are things you literally cannot download.
You can't download a bowl of soup.
You certainly can't. Let's talk about Faux Redbo in Rolling Hills Estates.
Located in the Promenade, this authentic Wagyu Vietnamese cuisine, we're talking slow-simmered broth, shaking beef, high-end halal Wagyu ingredients.
Okay, I'm hungry just hearing that.
Yeah.
But how do you market soup in a digital world? You can't smell it through the phone.
No, but you can trigger the biological response. This is the visual appetite strategy.
Visual appetite, I like that.
Think about how the brain processes food. If you see a grainy, dark photo of a bowl of soup on Yelp, nothing happens. But if you use macro lenses, high dynamic range, and studio lighting to capture the steam rising, the glisten of the fat on the Wagyu beef,
It mimics the actual experience of sitting at the table.
it mimics the anticipation. It's tapping into that same attention economy we talked about with the mural, but specifically for the palate. Voxel creates these cinematic food shots that stop the scroll because your brain literally says, I want that.
It's 4K food porn, essentially.
Highly effective 4K food porn.
Now, this next one might be my favorite in the stack just because of how specific it is. Me and my boo-boo in Redondo Beach.
Mike Juarez's shop on Hawthorne Blvd. Not just toys, they're boo-boo moments.
We're talking Pokemon TCG Plus and collectible plush treasures. This is niche with a capital N.
It is. And in the old world, a shop this specific would struggle to find enough locals to keep the lights on. You're relying on foot traffic, and maybe 3 people a day care about rare plushies. But the strategy here is niche signaling.
How did that work?
They use video podcasting to showcase specific items. They aren't trying to appeal to the general public. They are holding up a rare Pokemon card or a limited edition plush and talking about it in extreme detail. The texture, the rarity, the history.
Because if I don't care about Pokemon, I scroll past.
Right. But if you are a collector, that video is a beacon. You see it, you recognize the rarity, and you don't just click like. You get in your car and you drive to the store.
It converts digital views into physical foot traffic. It filters for the superfans.
Exactly. It turns a local shop into a destination. You aren't competing with Amazon. You're offering a community hub for enthusiasts.
We've got one more service-based one here. Blissful Method LLC, Lorena Pinto. Home styling, cleaning, organizing, over on Palos Verdes Blvd.
This is a classic time versus money problem. Lorena is a busy service provider. If she's editing TikToks on her phone, she isn't organizing homes. If she's in organizing homes, she isn't making money.
So what's the Voxel fix?
Efficiency. They use a live-to-tape workflow.
I've heard that term in TV news. What does it mean for a home organizer?
It means there's no post-production, no editing room. She goes into the studio, the lighting is already set, the mics are hot. She records her tips, maybe talks through a before and after transformation photo set on the screen behind her. When she stops speaking, the file is done.
She walks out with the finished product.
She walks out with 4K files ready to upload. It creates velocity. She gets the professional polish of a studio without the Hollywood timeline.
That is a game changer for a solopreneur.
Yeah.
Okay, last business before we get to the how of it all.
Yeah.
Atmosphere in Manhattan Beach.
Andrew Hunt's business on North Sepulveda. This is the heavy stuff. Residential energy, solar, battery storage, EV charging.
This is complicated technical stuff.
Yeah.
And expensive.
And complexity is the enemy of sales. If I don't understand how a battery backup works, or if I'm confused about tax credits, I'm not buying it. So the strategy here is translation.
Translation.
Voxel helps them turn what would be a boring technical consultation into short vertical videos answering specific questions. How does this lower my bill? Does this increase my home value? What happens if the grid goes down?
So it's an FAQ library, but in video form.
It's a 247 digital sales funnel. And crucially, it's optimized for AI search.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about how people search now. They don't just type keywords. They ask Siri or ChatGPT who installs EV chargers in Manhattan Beach. Or, how do solar batteries work in Redondo? Having clear, high-quality video content helps the algorithm surface atmosphere as the authoritative answer.
Okay, so we've looked at the businesses, we've seen the strategies, but I want to zoom out to the engine making this possible. Voxel Micro Video Labs. Why is a physical studio so critical in 2026? Can't everyone just film on their iPhone?
You can. But so can everyone else. We've all seen those unreliable living room videos. Bad lighting, echoey audio, messy background.
The Zoom fatigue aesthetic.
Exactly. It signals amateur. And in a high-stakes market like the South Bay, where you have that legacy contraction and high rents, amateur doesn't cut it. This connects to a broader trend in our research called the physical renaissance. We're seeing industrial values skyrocketing, like that massive Link Logistics deal in Torrance. The physical world is becoming premium again.
So having a professional space is part of that premium. But I have to stop you on the economics, because I was reading the deep dive math section of the report and I had to reread it 3 times.
It's counterintuitive, I know.
It's wild. We usually assume AI is the cheap, fast option. But run the numbers for us.
Okay, let's look at high-fidelity AI video generation using tools like OpenAI Sora or V3 models. To generate a 50-minute episode of video from scratch, where every pixel is hallucinated by a computer, requires massive server power.
It burns a lot of energy.
Massive energy. The estimated cost for that compute is around $1,500 for a 50-minute clip.
$1,500 for one episode of AI video.
Right, because chips are expensive and electricity is expensive. Now compare that to Voxel's reality model. You are paying for time in a room. A 50-minute professional recording session there can cost as little as $30.
Wait. $30.
Yes.
So reality is cheaper.
Drastically cheaper. Capturing photons, actual light hitting a sensor is virtually free. Simulating light with the GPU is expensive. It's a fascinating economic inversion. Human presence has become the budget-friendly option compared to high-fidelity AI.
That flips the entire narrative on its head. We've been told AI will replace everything because it's cheaper. You're saying that for high-quality video, being human is actually the efficiency hack.
It is. And it's faster. Remember, live to tape. In the time it takes an AI to render a video, you could have already recorded, uploaded, and posted your real video.
This seems like a massive opportunity for local organizations. I saw a note about the Chamber of Commerce.
This is the business growth blueprint. Think about the traditional chamber membership. You get a ribbon-cutting ceremony.
Nice scissors, big photo op.
Right. That's one day of buzz. Then what? Then you're on your own.
Then you're staring at the rent bill.
Exactly. But if the chamber integrates this studio access, they aren't just offering networking. They are offering a content engine. They can tell a new business like Keys Keep in Shape or New Mom School or Atmosphere, who all joined the Redondo Chamber in the last 45 days, join us and we will give you the tools to create sustained digital assets.
It transforms membership from a social club into a direct lead generation machine.
Tangible ROI. For a business facing that PCH rent we talked about, that survival tool is essential. It's about leveraging Voxel's generative engine optimization, or GEO tools.
So let's pull this all together. We started with the idea that the South Bay is changing. We're going from raging Cajun to Wagyu Pho, from sleepy beach town to a dense urban corridor.
It's a pivot from a generalist economy to a specialist one. Whether it's postpartum care, niche collectibles, or solar batteries, the common denominator is expertise.
But expertise isn't enough. You have to be able to broadcast that expertise.
You have to bridge the physical mastery with digital authority. You have to prove to the person stuck in traffic on PCH that you are worth the stop.
And the irony, the absolute kicker of this whole deep dive, is that the best way to build that digital authority isn't by being more high-tech. It's by being more human.
That is the human premium. In an age of AI avatars and synthetic content, real human presence, warmth, empathy, expertise recorded in a professional studio is becoming the ultimate luxury good.
And paradoxically, the most cost-effective one.
We're going back to basics, just with much, much better cameras.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to mull over. As you drive down PCH, past the Navisi Project and the new developments, as we swap out our familiar local hangouts for medical aesthetics and density bonuses.
Here comes the heavy question.
Are we building a city for the residents who actually live here? Or are we just creating a highly efficient campus for consumers?
It's the ultimate question for urban planning.
And for the business owners listening, trying to survive in that campus, the data says you have a choice. You can hide or you can broadcast. Are you ready to stop being a synthetic avatar and start showing up as your real self?
Because that's what the market is demanding.
That's it for this deep dive. Stay curious, support your local specialists, and we'll catch you on the next one.